Good morning, everyone. Jerry Bellini here. Welcome to the tiny house at the beach. I'm a little groggy today, but I'm also all jacked up because I'm excited to share with you my dot project. Yes, we're going to do that this week, and we're going to do it next week. It's going to be a two-parter because I started filming it already, and it was getting very long, and yeah, I just decided to make it in two parts. It will give you time to collect your supplies and do the first few things, and then next week we'll do the second part. So here they are. All right. If you're new to my channel, I did want to take a moment and introduce myself. I'm a 68-year-old YouTuber. I took a 4-year break, and I am now back with a new focus, and that is aging creatively and gratefully. And I really do want to encourage and inspire you, all of you, to learn something new and create, because it gives us a feeling of purpose. Yes, and this is a good thing. I was going through a hard time those 4 years and wasn't doing a whole lot. I did work on my mom's quilt, and if you don't know what that is, she passed away, and there's these t-shirts, and I have a video about it. I used her t-shirts, but the dots. So I started following, I don't even know how I found her, Jude Hill. I talk about her all the time. I just love her. She is a wonderful person. She stitches unlike anyone I have ever seen stitch. Just her techniques and her mindset and everything about her is so easy and relaxed. And so the more I was watching her, the more I was feeling like, I really need to get back into something, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's what I keep telling you guys all the time. Keep moving, no rules, just play and find something to be grateful for. That's my motto. So when I say that, I mean, we're getting older, and maybe your eyes aren't working right, your hands aren't working right, your stitches can't be as neat and perfect as they used to be. So what? Let's just do it for the sake of doing it, Been there, done that with the perfect stitches, and they're not necessary. What's necessary is we have something. Okay, so my dots, Jude loves circles, and I was inspired by her, and I said to her, I'm going to do a dot a day. So that's how this whole thing started. This is a dot a day project. I didn't quite do 365 dots, and I have been working on these dots for more than a year. Once you start doing them, you can't stop. So they got me off the couch. They got me into my art room. They got me cutting up cloth. They got me thinking about cloth in a different way. I started to use a lot of recycled cloth, and it changed my life. So I want to change your life. Would you join me and start making some dots? You're going to need cotton fabrics and whatever colorway you choose to use. So you can see mine are very natural. My home in Pennsylvania is beiges, grays, browns, that kind. So that's what I went with, because I planned on doing something with these for that house. But I was thinking it would be super good fun to do some bright dots, right? So down here at the beach, I have purples and yellows. So it would be really fun to have like something really happy and bright. So think about, your color palette and start collecting your cloth for that. And I did use little pieces of scraps. I have a scrap basket, and that's what I used. So that's the fabrics. We're going to need some lights, some darks. You're going to need some prints, and we will be using the right and the wrong sides of the cloth. You're going to need embroidery floss. So this is what I used. If you want to make any substitutions along the way, please feel free to do that. But I used embroidery floss, and you'll see most of my dots have some kind of stitching on them, and that's where I use the embroidery floss. I also used, and I'm leaving these along the edge for inspiration, I also used some sewing thread. Now this doesn't have to be good top of the line sewing thread. It could be some junk that you just would never use on your sewing machine, because we're going to use this to baste around the edges of the blocks. You need some cardboard. So cereal box is fine. This is actually, I think, a piece of heavy duty Bristol paper or something like that, but anything is fine. Cereal box is great. Don't use anything real thick. It's not necessary. You're going to need a pencil, regular pencil, and this, I mark my cloth with this pencil. If it's a light cloth, I mark it with this. If it's a dark cloth, I started using this. It's a Sew Line, SEWLINE pencil, and it has chalk in it. It's 3 different colors chalk. It's got red, white, and it has like a pencil color in there. So I use the white. So a white marking pencil would be helpful, because if you're going to mark on a dark cloth, you're going to need to see it. So the pencils, that. I highly suggest you have some kind of a ruler for when you make your templates. You want them to be extremely accurate. So whatever that means to you, if you have a good rule, I love this Omnigrid ruler. It's got all these little notches in it. You can really get it right down to 1/8, 1/4 of an inch, whatever. So you need to make your templates have to be accurate, or they are not going to fit together. Now, if you look at my blocks, they like fit perfectly because my templates were accurate. And I'm not about perfection, you know that, but when it comes to stitching all these things together, if they're all wonky, it's going to be a problem. So let's just start with accurate templates. So you need a ruler. You're going to need some water in a spray bottle, and you're going to need an iron. And I always apologize when I tell you need an iron, because I know a lot of you hate to iron, but you really have to. All right, the ironing police is not going to come after you if you don't, but your project is going to go a lot easier if you have it. This template is pretty amazing. It's called Template Designs Jumbo Perfect Circle. And it's got circles from 1 1/4 inch on up to 3 inches. Now, I'm sorry, 3.5 inches. It goes up to that. I'm not going to use anything that big. I don't use a circle bigger than 2.5 inches, because again, my dots, my background cloth is only 3 inches. So that's the biggest circle I've used, is the 2.5. This template comes in a smaller size too. So the size is beneath 1 1/4 inches. I don't have it here at the beach. It's at home. You can, but I love them. You can certainly use the bottom of a spool. You can use a coin. You can use the cap off your laundry detergent. I just like using the template because it's just right there. And when I'm making the circles, I'm making all different sizes at the same time, and you'll see that when we get to it. And so this is just super easy to slide around. But use whatever you have and whatever you can afford. All right, I think we just finished the supplies, and I think we should get started. All right, so we have 2 pieces of cardboard. One is the finished size and one is the cut. So I have cut on that one, fold over on this smaller one. So I'm going to set that one aside, this fold over, and we're just going to work with the cut. Now, I just picked a plain piece of cloth so you could see what I'm doing. But when you're choosing your cloth and you're cutting out your squares to work on, this is the back of a piece of cloth and this is the front. Now, I have used both sides of this. I wanted some golden yellow in my piece, and so I use both. So let me show you. I also cut out some dots with this. So see, it's lovely. Just look at the cloth and decide, do you want this to be the top or do you want this to be the top? Okay, so same thing with this one. It's kind of busy on the top, but I've used it. In fact, here's a dot right here. Here's a one piece right here, and it looks lovely. So just for the video's sake, so you can see, I'm going to just use this plain piece of cloth. So, and I'm going to tell you, see that stain in there? I don't care. I'm going to use it. You're going to draw around this cut one. And when you draw around this, don't put it all the way to the edge of the cloth. Leave a little bit of buffer there, like 1/8 of an inch. And as soon as I cut this or pencil this out, I'm going to tell you why. Oh, you also need a scissor. For crying out loud, I knew I was going to forget something. You need a scissor. And you can do this with a rotary cutter too. I've done both. But for the sake of the video, I'm going to use a scissor. So just going to do one right now. After you draw around that, you're going to cut this out. And you can draw a whole bunch of them, as many as will fit on here. But what I don't want you to do, I don't want you to butt them up to each other. Because when I cut this out, I am going to leave a little bit of a border around the outside of it. And I'm going to cut this out, and then I'm going to explain to you why. And why didn't I just make the 3.5 inch square bigger? So I'll start with why I didn't make the 3.5 inch square bigger. I didn't make it bigger because sometimes I have a piece of cloth around that's precious. It's tiny. It's, I don't know, piece of my mother's clothing. And when I lay this down, it fits exactly, precisely on the piece of cloth. So I want to know what is the smallest square I can cut out and get away with it. And that's this piece of cardboard. But at the same time, I want to make my life as easy as possible, and I want to have a decent sized seam allowance so that nothing unravels. And so when I cut this, I always give myself a little grace around the edge. And just for an example, I'm going to show you. So this is my fold over template. So when I fold that over, see, that's a nice seam. It's more than 1/4 of an inch. It's a heavy 1/4 of an inch, and that's perfect, and it will make your life so much easier. I think this is the one. Okay, this is the one, but you can't really see it. This one has like 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. It's really a scant there. It's tiny, but you know, you can get away with it. So that's what I do. I just wanted to say before I go any further that I'm doing this video as if you were sitting in this very room with me. It's a workshop. I'm going to take the time to talk to you like I do when we are together, like when I have people in my home and I'm showing them how to do something. So it's going to be a little longer. It's going to be a little blah blah. Okay, I want you to feel like we're together. My regular how-tos are very structured, and I try to get to the point and move on. But these dots are so important to me, as I told you in the introduction, that I really just wanted to do the video this way. So, and it's my channel, and I can. What's that song? I don't know. I just thought of a song, and it went right out of my head. So now cut out a bunch of these. And see, I think that stain mark is going to give this character. So that's why I would use it. So cut out a bunch of these on your cloth. And once they're cut out, so just say you have a whole pile of them, like I do. and they're all different. This one is a piece of eco print that I did last year. And I have some linen in here. And I have, this is a shirt or a pair of slacks. I can't remember what it is, but I know it's clothing. This is some quilter's cotton. So use what you have. Use everything. I love the linen. This one, I will use the right side and the wrong side. And if you were sitting here in my sun porch with me, you'd be rooting through this pile of fabric, wouldn't you? You'd be looking to see what I used. So that's why I'm showing them to you. This is a piece of linen that looks the same on both sides. Okay, I have some bright whites, off whites, you name it, it's in here. And look at that one's even a little crazy, but I like it. So put whatever you like in your piece. And I don't know what you're going to do with yours, and I still don't know what I'm going to do with mine, but who cares? Just let's create. So I work very methodically whenever I do anything, but especially with these because I wanted to do so many of them. When I first started, I did 1 dot a day, right? So I cut out 1 square, cut out 1 circle, and did it. Well, I said this isn't going to work for me because I'm an assembly line person. So I took a day or an afternoon and I just did all these squares. Then I took another afternoon and did circles, and etc. so on. And so if you're a methodical assembly line person, do it that way. If you're not, do 1 at a time. But I found 1 at a time to be a hassle. Iron this. If your scraps are really wrinkled, iron them before you trace around them. I forgot to mention that before. So my iron's nice and hot, and we're getting ready to prepare our square. So now this is the 3-inch square that says fold over. This will go in the middle, and then we're going to fold over the edges. But before we do that, we're just going to spray this with a little water. Okay, it's a little damp. It's not soaking wet. You can see that. And that's why you're going to probably go through a few of these pieces of cardboard, because it's going to get wet and it's going to get deformed. But if you spray the cloth, it helps to keep the crease. So I'm going to lay that down in the middle, and I'm going to fold this over. And I'm using a very hot, you see it's almost at the end, hot dry iron. And I normally, full disclosure, I normally use a travel iron, but since I got down here, how many weeks ago did I get down here? I've had this iron sitting on my table. I've just been busy, and there's nobody else here, so who cares, right? So, but normally I do use my travel iron, and I love it. I remember when I first started this project, I started it down here actually, and I would sit out on my deck, plug my portable iron in, and yeah. Oh, it was so peaceful. I'm just having a memory. It was so peaceful. So I don't know why my iron does that on the corner sometimes. It just wrinkles it up. It's stuck in those little holes, I guess. So talk to me while we're doing this. Tell me a story. You know, definitely leave me a comment and tell me something. Tell me what you think of the project. Tell me what you're doing. Tell me what your struggles are. So I did top and bottom, and then side and side. And I'm going to show you my assembly line. Now I'm going to take it out. And some fabrics crease better than others for whatever reason. If it's still creased, I'm good. I just move it over and move on to the next one. If it's really starting to come out a little bit, I'll turn it over like that and just give it another press with the iron. And I don't shuffle my iron around like this because I find that it can distort the cloth. I'm being very thorough, as if you were here. So there you have that. Now I'm going to make a pile of those. And then I'm going to do the basting. But if you can't get back to doing the basting for a few days, then you want to try to do the basting soon after you do the ironing, because what happens is this starts to unfold, and if it's humid or whatever. All right, so you can do a bunch of them, but do you hear that dog? So now I'm going to baste. So I have my sewing thread. I'm just using this. And oh my gosh, now somebody's horn's going to go off. I have a knot at the end of my basting thread, and I do put like 2 stitches in the corner, because the corners, I have to hold this up because I'm not real zoomed in yet. I'll zoom in when we do a particular part that needs it. So I put 2 stitches in the corner just to keep that down. And then I have a big needle for the basting. For those of you that have not taken a video with me before, I am in a campground. And I am, the back of my house, and so I'm going to put 2 stitches in this corner. The back of my house butts up against the transient site. And I never heard that word before I started coming down here. Transient. So it's the visitors, it's the people that just camp for the weekend. You probably already knew that, and I'm just weird. So while I'm doing this little basting, I'm going to tell you why I said I was groggy in the beginning of the video. My bedroom, if you saw my little tiny house tour, is in the back of my tiny house, and I like to sleep with the window open. And it's right up against, well, you know, a couple feet away from, well, more than a couple of feet, at least 10 feet, maybe 20, away from the transients. So last night I went to bed and it was raining, and you know I love the rain. If you've listened to any of my videos, I find it to be very peaceful. So I was so happy when I got in bed. Oh, it's raining and whatever. I fell asleep right away. I go to bed around 10 o'clock, and I woke up at 12:30, and something actually woke me up, because I kind of woke up and I felt very disoriented. And I thought, well, what woke me up? So I'm laying there for a minute, and don't you know, and this is going to annoy you because it annoyed me. Don't you know, I heard a dog crying, whining, whimpering. And I went, what on earth? So I jumped up out of bed. My dogs aren't here. I jumped up out of bed. I put my ear to the window, had the window open, and I hear this poor little animal crying. And I'm thinking, what is that? So I did lay in bed for a little while, trying to decide, what should I do? I don't know what to do. I couldn't see anything because it's pretty pitch dark out here. So I'm just going to end in this corner by going down the corner. It's pretty dark here, so I couldn't see anything. But I couldn't go back to sleep because it stopped. The noise stopped, and I thought, did I just like make that up? Did I really hear that? Anyway, I'll save the rest of the story for the next part of this. So do a bunch of these and have them ready, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to do we're going to get a few circles ready. I was just editing my video clips and realized that I forgot to explain something to you. So here I am. I'm going to try to stick it in there, and hopefully it won't be too disjointed. When I had you do these squares and I had you fold over the edges and baste them, I didn't explain to you why I was doing that. So this is a technique that I picked up from Jude, and I love it. So typically, you know, you have this raw edged piece. Typically you would stitch your whatever on there, and then when you were all finished, you would go back and you would stitch these together like this. Now, you could certainly go ahead and do that, but I'm showing you how I made my dots, and my dots are made like this with the finished edges. So after they are all finished, then I use another technique to stitch them together. It is so relaxing to do it this way. I'm not saying it wouldn't be relaxing to do it this way. You could still hand stitch these two together, but this way, they are seriously precise, because you can see, and you're not even in a close-up view, but you can see these blocks are exactly the same size, because I took my piece of cardboard and each one is this size. And so they are just all going to fit together. If I just use this raw-edged cloth and went like this, and say I stitched them on the sewing machine, if I'm off a little bit, I'm off. And eventually could be off a lot. This way they're just much more accurate, and to be honest with you, I think they're adorable. And once you have them, you could do anything with them. All right, so let me show you, to just get you a little bit more inspired, some of the finished blocks. And I am going to take a picture. Yes, I am in frame. I am going to take a picture of all of them. I will have to lay them on the floor because my design boards are at home in Pennsylvania. But I think once you start working on this project, you will really enjoy getting a really good look at each and every one. Oh, look what she did there. Oh, look, she stitched on top of the pattern that was there already. Oh, she made eyes here. Oh, she did the satin stitch here. Oh, she did slow stitching. Oh, she, did back stitch here, etc. so on. And I know if you were here, you would be going through the pile and just really like touch. They feel so good in your hand. And these are rocks. These are rocks out in my yard. The little pebbles that I have. And so each and every one of these, it's like my family. They're all like my kids. I just love each and every one. And I will tell you where I got my inspiration for a lot of them. All right. Thank you for understanding. Let's move on. All right, we're back to do the circles. Now, I'm going to use a light colored cloth so you can see what I'm doing, but you would use whatever you want to use, and you would grab your appropriate pencil. So if it's dark, you're going to grab your white one. If it's not, you're going to grab regular pencil. Pretty obvious. And we're going to draw, and that's why I like the templates. You're going to draw circles in various sizes, and you're going to make sure that you have a scant 1/4 inch around it. So I'm thinking you can see through this template like I can. So I'm just going to draw, and then I'll get back to the dog. And what I like to do is draw several different sizes, because I have my things are all different sizes. Now, when I go to cut this out, I'm going to cut it about 1/4 inch away from that circle. So I want to make sure I don't put the next one too close. And I do mess up once in a while, but so that's what I want you to do. I want you to cut out, use up this patch of, and like I said, I'm going to do different sizes. Use up this scrap. Okay. So now I'm going to cut this out, and I'm just going to finish telling you about the dog. I'm going to leave a scant 1/4 inch because we're going to actually applique these down to the squares that we just prepared, and I am going to show you how I applique. And you can also apply some of these with a ragged edge, which I did, but most of them do have the turned under edge. So I'm just going to cut these out and tell you about the dog. So I laid in my bed for a while trying to decide what to do, and I'm like, my brain's not working too good. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm thinking, well, you know, you wouldn't call the security. So we have a security people that drive around at night. You wouldn't call security if they were just making some noise, but you need to call security as the dog's crying. Is the dog out in the rain? It's raining. And I couldn't see, like, is there a pen out there? Is the dog? I couldn't see anything, and I'm thinking, I don't care if there's a pen out there or not. A dog doesn't belong. By now it was pouring. A dog doesn't belong out in the rain. I called security. And they did come down, and I was trying to peek out the window to see what was going on, but I couldn't see. Even with my glasses on, I couldn't really see, but I did hear the dog barked. And when the dog barked, when the security people came down, I said, oh, that dog is definitely outside. So I'm not really sure what happened. I went down to the office this morning and I asked them, so what happened when the security went down? And nobody could tell me. Nobody knew. There was no report or anything. And I was like, what? So now I have to wait and find the security person that worked last night and ask him or her, like, what happened? Was there a dog sleeping out in the rain, or am I losing my mind? So I couldn't go back to sleep. I was so worried about this animal that I just couldn't go back to sleep. So there you go. I just cut out 3 of those. I didn't need to do all 3, but because I wanted to finish telling you the story about the dog. I'm exhausted today. So there you have it. Get your dots ready. I've got a bunch of them here. And once you have them ready, and now, pardon my arm, you've got a bunch of your squares ready as well. So this is what happens to them if you don't baste them right away. They start to come apart, and then they're not accurate. So now what I want you to do is get your squares and your circles, and I want you to mix and match them so they look lovely. And I didn't put mine in the middle, and you want the pencil side up on them. So let's see, you probably can't see that. So pencil side is up. And I want you to just stick a straight pin in there. And if you want them all in the center, that's fine. If you don't want them in the center, just do that. And I've got a whole stack of them here. They're all ready to go. So now you can stick this whole thing in your basket. And you see, I used all kinds of crazy things. Let's spread some of these out so you can get a picture of what I was doing with some of these. So now it's very portable because it's all ready. And this is how I work. So like I said, when I originally started and I was doing a dot a day, it turned into this. So there was not the completion of one of these blocks each day. It was just that I worked on them every day. So aren't they like super adorable? I know you love them. I know you probably love them just as much as I do. So they're all different sizes, all different shapes, all different colors. And you saw I showed you a lot of my finished ones, so you can get an idea. Okay, so that's what I want you to do. And we're going to stop here. And next week, I'm going to show you how to applique. And then we're going to talk about some of the embellishments, because I have done a ton of embellishments, and I will tell you where I got some of my inspiration for them, and so on. So just remember to keep moving, just play, no rules, and find something to be grateful for today. And I am grateful for you, and I'm grateful that you're interested in my dot collection. So if you're enjoying my channel, please like, subscribe, and share. And please leave me a comment. It's so important to me. I love to hear from you. I feel like you're hanging out with me when I read your comments. So, bye for now.